So this is Ray Youssef. He's here in Ethiopia, not because he has a company registered here, because he's seen the potential of Ethiopia, and he wants to come here before any of his competitors, right? So he came with his family yesterday. I think they're staying at the Radisson. They've done a beautiful tour. They've enjoyed some of our culture. CEO of No One's. I think he also has a second title that we love. We call him the Chief Advocate. There we go. So I'll allow him to do maybe an introduction on some of his work, some of his objectives, and we're quite aligned. I think he's very bold. Even when we don't agree, we somehow agree, just because I really appreciate his boldness, his honesty. Ray is invited here for many reasons. One, he paid for the event, right? Two, I heard a rumor, and he can confirm it today, that he's been banned from a few Bitcoin conferences just because he's so honest, right? So anyway, let's welcome him with a round of applause. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. All right, everybody. I'm here in Addis Ababa, first time, ancient capital, the first home of Christianity as well. You guys got a lot of great titles. I'm looking to soak all that up. I'm here with my family. I'm super excited. Really, really honored to be here. And thank you, Cal, for hosting this event. Cal is one of the OGs of Bitcoin and crypto in the Global South. He's a boy from Austin, right? You grew up in Austin? Yeah, I grew up in New York. But here we are, back home. Back home. And it's not just nostalgia that brought us here. It's business. But guess where the future of finance is? It's right here in Africa, the heavyweight champion of continents. This is the truth. A lot of people in the West don't want to accept this. But things are changing. For the first time ever last year, the BRICS nations have eclipsed the G7 nations in GDP. Despite the best attempts of the West to keep the entire Global South poor, they can't break it. They can't stop this runaway train. So here we are. So I think you guys should know a little bit about me, besides being the type of guy that gets himself canceled every other day, and I do relish in doing so. I'm the type of guy that likes to take risks, and I believe in my vision. So 10 years ago, I was saying something crazy. I was like, hey, everybody. Remember, this is like 2011, 2013, 12, around there. I was saying that Africa is going to lead Bitcoin adoption worldwide. And everyone laughed at me. I still got the Twitter posts. You know, they're going up on my wall. They said, there's no way Africa will lead anything. They only make $2 a day. It's too complicated for them. They'll never figure it out. And fast forward, just 5 years after that, Africa rose to completely be the undisputed heavyweight champion of Bitcoin adoption. Yes, and it's just getting started. It's just getting started. Absolutely. The Gen Z of Africa is amazing. And I've seen them do their magic in Nigeria, in Kenya now, rising up like lions. And it's just getting started. You've got the emergence of the true African Union in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. This is all happening right before our very eyes. The rising up of true resistance. And where does it start? In Africa, with the money. The money must flow. This is the most important thing that there is. It would be great if, as Africans, we didn't need a visa to get into every African state, right? That'd be great. I had to spend 2 hours with my family trying to get a visa here. But guess what? The only thing better than that is when the money can flow without borders. That's what creates wealth. Africa won't need any IMF loans or any foreign aid if that money can just move around. Now, this is an important point, guys. We sponsored a golf tournament in Kenya a little while ago, right before the protests. I got to wait to go back there because the government thinks I started the protest. I did not. I did not. I'm innocent. Innocent, I say. So I asked everyone at the table, our team won, by the way, and I asked them, how many of you here run a business? And they all raised their hands. Yeah, we all run a business. I said, oh, cool, man. How many of you here run a non-local business? And almost all of them raised their hands again. So I asked one final question. I said, we all know the banks here don't work across border. Even the mobile money wallets, which Africa pioneered before anyone else, don't work across border. So I'm curious, how much business are you missing out on because you cannot get payments from the other 54 states of Africa? They all in unison gave the same facial expression and said, a lot. Can you imagine? They're losing at least 90% of their business. If the money could flow across Africa, if that was the only change that we made, each of those businesses would be making 10 times more money. 10 times more revenue means 10 times more jobs. 10 times more jobs would pretty much solve all our problems, wouldn't they? And that's all it takes. And that's why I held the world's first Pan-African Trade Summit a few months ago in Kenya. And then the protests broke out right after that. But what was beautiful about it is that when I spoke to these universities and these churches, the young people were so captured by the message. It's like, wow, I didn't realize the problem was that big. I mean, they live the problem every day, but they just think it's normal. That's all we have to do to fix all of our problems? You mean there's really nothing wrong with us Africans? And the message is one of hope and simplicity. And that is beautiful. So as an African, to every other African here, there's nothing wrong with us. We don't need to add anything to the equation of our being. We just need to take something out of the equation and kick it out of the room, kick it down the street, kick it off a cliff. And that is a system of economic apartheid that has kept Africa poor. And that is the exact perfect term for it. Economic apartheid is the worst form of apartheid because it keeps us from being able to unleash the might of our work. And there's a lot of work waiting to be done, right? What is the youth unemployment rate here in Ethiopia? I bet it's the same as Egypt, 70% or more. There you go. Imagine you put all those young hands to work. What would happen here? You'd see Addis Ababa be the new Dubai. And so many other cities would follow suit. Even now when I say that, some people in their hearts, like, they want to laugh. Well, they're not going to be laughing for very long. Because believe me, this problem will be fixed. But for the first time ever in human history, we have all the tools at our disposal. If our governments won't fix the problem, well, okay. We'll fix the problem. Because we've got blockchain technology. We've got all of these methodologies to recreate peer-to-peer electronic cash. Plus, we have a Gen Z that is extremely enthusiastic, well-educated, and is already skilled at moving that money around P2P. This is powerful. This is how we take back the streets. And once we take back the streets, that's it. All those colonial clerks are going to be like, hey, wait a minute. Look at all this money flowing here with our people. Do we really have to beg the West for some crumbs? Or can we jump into this wonderful new world of magical internet money right here? The money does talk. And it's Gen Z that's making that money move around. So the only question we have to ask ourselves is, how are we going to pour some fuel on this fire and take this rocket ship to the moon? And the answer is simple. We're going to break some bread with each other. We're going to look each other in the eyes. We're going to trade war stories, and we're going to talk business. And we're going to open up those corridors from here to the neighboring countries, from here to the West, to the Asia, to Latin America, because when corridors are opened up, money flows. And when that money flows, you see that unemployed college student. All of a sudden, he's driving a new car. He's put all his friends to work. He's put his families to work. And that's how communities are raised up. We're just following a very simple template. The words of the great Malcolm X. He gave very simple advice to the young brothers and sisters in America. He said, if you want to build your community, if you want to create wealth and get respect, then stop thinking about just yourself, becoming an athlete or a musician or an actor. No. You know what you need to focus on? That store on the corner that sells the groceries, the newspapers, the cigarettes, the everything. Who owns that store? Is it one of your people? If it's not, then you're going to set up a store right across the street. And you're going to tell every single one of your brothers and sisters, come to me. Come to me. I'm just like you. I speak the same language as you. I'm from the same place as you. Come to me. Let's do this for ourselves. And then we build up local power, financial power. And with that comes political power. And with that comes respect. And I want to be in a world 10 years from now, when people think of Africa, they think of respect. And a miracle that will expose the biggest scam in the world, this fiat money scam, because everyone in the world is going to look at what Africa has done, and they're going to say, wait a minute. Our media has been telling us that these people were poor because of low IQ and corruption and this and that, but look at what they've done. And they've eclipsed us. And then those people, everyone in the West is going to rise up and dethrone their corrupted, oligarchical pseudo-democracies. And then they're going to be rich too. When Africa rises up, the whole world rises up with it. And that is beautiful. Everyone wins, except the parasite class. But maybe they'll get some jobs too. From one of the brothers and sisters in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. That was such a lovely, my voice compared to yours, there's such a big difference. You're so engaging. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming to Ethiopia. Thank you for sponsoring this event. Thank you for giving us some energy. We're going to head into lunch in a little bit. I'm going to ask the Sheraton team to start preparing lunch. I think it's already prepared. Maybe 20, 30 minutes, we'll start heading out. Until then, I want to ask Ray some follow-up questions. This is your first time to Ethiopia, is that right? Yes, sir. So again, welcome, and thank you for bringing your family. Thank you for giving this country some beautiful, positive exposure and attention. So if we can give him a round of applause just once more. So how did you find first the e-visa, the visa? How did you find the entrance, the welcome, immigration? Let's start with that.
Well, I applied for my e-visa online. It was quite painless, but my mother and sister applied for theirs, didn't come through on time, so then we had to do the kind of merry-go-round, but it's the same thing in Egypt, it's the same thing in a lot of places. But all those processes will be fixed and optimized once we as people have pride, like real pride, in the efficacy of our governments. I mean, you see the United Arab Emirates, like Dubai, where I just came from. They put real love into all those little things, like the e-visa process and all these little getting a driving, license, all these things. They're looking out for the happiness of their people. And they want to streamline all those procedures with the best technology. And it's not just because they have money, it's because they're actually putting love into that, because they're on that upswing. We are getting there too, believe me. And once we get there, it will be extraordinary. The last time I saw that in the Global South was during the Egyptian Revolution. I actually went there to Tahrir Square. Yeah. I only have one photo of that, which was I was arrested by the Muslim Brotherhood. I was arrested by the army, and they took all my phones. But one photo was captured on Frontline right after I caught a big old rock to my face. There was a lot of fighting that day. We lost 1,000 young Egyptians, Thankfully, I wasn't one of them. I survived by a miracle. But after Mubarak stepped down, I saw something amazing. I saw something I'd never see. The Egyptian people, especially the youth, were, for the first time ever, so proud of being Egyptian, that they were going around and actually sweeping the streets, picking up the rubbish from the streets and actually like taking care of the place. They were proud. We have our country again. Then they later realized it was just an Orange Revolution scam from the West. All right, they got us there. But for that split second, I saw a glimpse of true hope, and I want to see that wave spread across the entirety of Africa. And God willing, inshallah, khair ya Rab, one day it will, and quite soon.
Thank you, Ray. That's so lively and so true. My next question is, you mentioned something about economic apartheid. Maybe you can help us define it. What is it? What have you seen in the countries that you've worked in? And then maybe share some light on the Gen Z of Africa. I think I've been sharing some maps on LinkedIn and Twitter and so on, but there's a beautiful map that has gone around that shows just how young Africa is, just how digitally native Africans are. And so maybe you can talk about economic apartheid, but then of course, kind of the solution through our youth and through technology.
Yeah, so it all starts with, those problems that are such big problems. We don't even think of them as problems. We just accept it as a way of life. Like, for example, I was born in Egypt. I grew up in New York. We went there when I was 2 years old. Not by myself, of course. My mother and father gave me a hand. But in Egypt, the money just doesn't move around at all. It's so hard to get money out of the country. There are massive capital controls that keep the money trapped inside the government, inside the country. The government takes huge cuts of any money coming inside the government because they want all this foreign currency to keep their currency strong. And it's the same story across all of Africa. What country have I noticed has the exact same problem to an extremely high degree? Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the most amazing places in the world, one of the most vital people I've ever seen. Their inflation rate is 3 to 5% a day. The official price of the Nigerian naira, meaning what the central bank will give you, $1 for the naira, is twice as bad as the quote-unquote black market price, which is just the natural street price. Now, that seems really strange. If someone from California sends $100 to their brother in Nigeria via Western Union, they will only get half as much naira as they would if that guy sent them crypto and they could cash out on the black market. The government pockets the rest. And guess what? There's actually a name for this. It's called round tripping. And it's all the friends of the central bank in Nigeria, and it's the same story everywhere else. They will buy dollars at the official price from the central bank and then dump it on the black market for double. That's their arbitrage route. And only they can access this because they're friends with the central bank. And the rest of us have to go to the black market and pay double. This parasitic system of locals feeding off the people is part of economic apartheid. Of course, they have engineered a matrix to gain local control, and only the friends of that system benefit. And there's so many other manifestations of this. But how we as people engage with it day to day, let me ask you guys a question. If you wanted to send money to another African country, any other country in Africa, is it easy or is it hard? It's hard. In fact, it's almost impossible in a lot of cases. You're better off taking a bunch of cash, US dollars of course, putting it in a suitcase and getting on a bus or train. This is 2024, and this is still the case. And we're all just gotten used to it, right? We think, well, that's just the way it is. We're not united like the States. We don't have a single currency. But even if you don't have a single currency, it should be a lot easier than that. Because it's not just the banks that are broken. Mobile money is broken too. Africa has led mobile money for the past 20 years. M-Pesa, the darling of mobile money, the pioneer, started by Safaricom, a telco in Kenya. It's the most successful payment method in the world. 98.8% of Kenyans have M-Pesa. But here's the thing. Even though in Kenya you can pay for anything with M-Pesa, M-Pesa is actually available in 7 African countries total, 7. But if you want to send money from an M-Pesa account in Kenya to an M-Pesa account in Ghana or South Africa, you cannot. It just doesn't work. So they have applied that economic apartheid template to the mobile money as well. Are we supposed to believe, oh, well, yeah, I guess those Africans were smart enough to pioneer all of mobile money, but they were just too dumb to make it work across borders? No. Africa is the most over-regulated region in the entire world. And that system of over-regulation is how this economic apartheid really manifests. The colonial clerks do what they're told. These regulators are just aping the West. Now, if you still think this is all a conspiracy theory, and like, Ray, come on now, all this couldn't be intentional. TIA, this is Africa. Maybe they just couldn't get it right. Maybe they need a little bit of time. I'm like, okay, all right, well, here's another example for you. So you understand just how serious, pervasive, and intentional this all is. Binance. Anyone here ever use Binance peer-to-peer? Great, yeah. So I started the first peer-to-peer exchange. It was the biggest exchange in Africa, before Binance came in, and it was peer-to-peer. CZ tried to buy it from me. I said no. I think you guys are just too centralized for my liking. So he just copied it when I wouldn't sell it to him. And it became quite a success. It was, they had a big ecosystem. Well, good for them. It's brought a lot of good. So I'm proud of that. I want to see as many peer-to-peer marketplaces as possible. But guess what? CZ just got out of jail. He made a deal with the American government. And they told him, it's not enough that we just put you in jail and take a couple $billion from you. We want Binance. Not ownership. You can keep your little ownership. But we're going to run the entire compliance of Binance. We're going to get an American compliance monitor in there. And these people basically run the whole company. No one can overrule them. Not the founder, not the CEO, anyone. Guess what the first thing this US compliance monitor did when they took over Binance was? It wasn't, hey, everyone has to re-KYC every 2 months now and all these other things. No, the first thing that this US compliance monitor did was they disabled Pan-African trade on Binance peer-to-peer. So if you're an Ethiopian, you can only trade with an Ethiopian. If you're a Kenyan, you can only trade with a Kenyan. Same for Egyptians, same for Nigerians, same for all 55 nationalities. They essentially applied the same economic apartheid template to the biggest crypto exchange. So Ray is not a conspiracy theorist. This is real, and this is what keeps Africa poor. That's why I started No One's, because I want to break this system. I brought the first cryptocurrency into Africa about 11 years ago with a series of hacks. And we got, cryptocurrency fertile here, which is amazing. But now it's time to take things to the next level, which means mobilizing a standing army of Gen Z peer-to-peer money exchangers. They're going to open up unlimited trade routes everywhere, ensuring the money will flow. Economic apartheid be damned. Colonial clerks be damned. We're doing it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think that gives us a very good model for economic apartheid. It might be a new term for some of us in the audience. I think that's a good term to use. It cuts straight to the point. It doesn't dilly-daddle. It says there is a problem. It's the old world institutions that maybe were necessary at some point, but we've outlived them, we've outgrown them. We're in a digital era. I think bold investors like Ray are very, very welcome. And I have a follow-up question. I know you're here for a while. You're here for the week. There's a few people from media that might want your attention. Maybe you can also hint on, I think there's an event coming November 9. What's its purpose? What do you have in store for us? Is there anything you want to share with this audience? And before you answer that question, just a few housekeeping items. Yami, if we can bring Ray his gift, I think this is a great time. We'll also give it to our Chinese sponsors. Like I said, they're a bit shy, so if they don't come on stage, that's fine. But I hope we'll have a nice kind of photo ceremony with some of our sponsors and everyone else before we go to lunch. So yes, help us maybe understand what your week entails here, how we can help you. The 9th of November, what do we have in store? Who's invited? Thank you, Yami. It's from a beautiful locally made fashion and garment company, Zuri Collections. She does a fantastic job with local items. This is silk, and I think I hope you'll enjoy it. It'll be a beautiful memory of the country. And so with that, I'll turn it over to you to help us understand, what are you doing over the next week? How can we help you? What's going on November 9th? And then also another housekeeping item, after lunch, I've invited the Oracle crew to join us. So they're meeting this morning about AI and data and so on. They're very instrumental in kind of the way ERP is done, enterprise resource planning, the way financial systems work, not only for big companies, but countries on a national level. So I've invited them to join us in the afternoon. Now that I consider you guys as experts, it looks beautiful on you, by the way. Now that I consider you guys Bitcoin experts after our morning presentation, as the Oracle folk join us in the afternoon, pull them in, teach them something about Bitcoin, because I think they'll be pleased to hear it. So with that, November 9th, what's going on, buddy?
Thank you, brother. Thank you for this gift. I don't know if I'm wearing it right, but I'm still looking good. All right. So there's a lot going on. November 9th a lot's going on. It's a lot of meetings, especially the meetings that matter most. And you know what that is? It's the money meetings. It's the peer-to-peer traders. These young lions that have taught themselves everything there is to know about making that money flow, whether it's with the banking system, gift cards, mobile money, whatever. This is a specific class of entrepreneur which is going to get written up in the history books, folks. How many people in this room, when you were younger, would go onto the internet and type, how to make money online? A lot of us, right? Everyone wants to know, how do you do this? Oh, do I start my own, Airbnb? Is it drop shipping? Is it affiliate marketing? Selling fat pills to people? What is it? What's the hot thing? The hot thing is peer-to-peer crypto. Arbitrage. Whether it's remittance, payments, whatever it is, this is the ultimate way to solve problems for people in the greatest business of all. Because there ain't no business like the money business, right? You never run out of inventory, and there's an unlimited amount of problems to be solved. And there's so many examples here. And I'm happy to give you those examples, but I really just want to extend my full respect and admiration to this new class of peer-to-peer lions. You've all heard of the cheetah generation in Africa, right? Well, the peer-to-peer traders are, cheetahs on steroids, mutagenic enhancements, everything. These guys taught themselves. And thanks to peer-to-peer crypto, these young guys have the same financial access that only multinational corporations have enjoyed. Because it's only these multinational corporations that'll have bank accounts in 10, 20 different countries in Africa, and they can maintain that float just like Revolut does, or Wise does, etc. But thanks to peer-to-peer, you can basically borrow a bank account anywhere in the world. You can say, hey, I need you in Malawi, to make a payment for me. You've got a bank account in Malawi? Okay. Here's some crypto. Look, it's right here in escrow. You want it, right? Because you can sell it to your friend for a profit. I need you to send a bank transfer from your bank account to this bank account in Malawi. Here's the invoice. Do it for me. The other guy's like, sure. I know the crypto's there in escrow. I know I can sell it for a profit right after, so this is a great way for me to buy crypto with my local bank account. And he pays the invoice. And the guy that was selling him the crypto, he's offering this as a service maybe to someone in England who has an invoice to pay in Malawi, but he doesn't know how. Was this a nightmare to do it with his bank? So he makes a profit. Everyone wins. You can have a bank account in every single country in the world using peer-to-peer crypto. And that sounds nice to us normal people, but to a peer-to-peer trader, that's magic. That's making something out of nothing, because I can actually create a business off of that. I can add tremendous value off of that and make a profit, solve problems, and scale it up. That's what's happening right now every single day, and that's why I'm here. Because I want to meet those brothers and sisters. I want us to sit down and break bread, trade war stories, and talk business. I want to know how I can help them. One of the best perks of this job is that every single conference I go to anywhere in the world, I'll get at least one, sometimes a lot more, young brothers, sometimes sisters too, coming up to me and saying, Ray! I'm like, wow. Like, Ray, I want to shake your hand. You changed my life, man. And they'll tell me their whole life story there. Well, the last guy that came up and did this to me was in South Africa. He's like, Ray, my car got jacked today. And my girlfriend split up with me, but I still made it here, man, because you changed my life. I wanted to meet you. We ended up actually hiring that guy. He works with us now. And he's still running his business. And I want to meet those people, because those people are the truest, realest entrepreneurs you will ever meet. They are not just moving dog food around. They are solving the biggest problem in the world every single day. They are the tip of the spear against economic apartheid. Because we know our politicians won't do it for us, so Gen Z is doing it themselves. And I want you guys to meet these people. I want to get these people in a room, and I want all of you to see who they are. These are good, honest business people, just making that money move around. This is the best class of entrepreneur the world has ever seen, and I'm so proud to report that it's the Gen Z of Africa that is leading that charge worldwide, and that makes me very proud that I could be a part of that, and our place is surely written in the history books. But yes, November 9th, and every damn night I'm here, we're going to make that money flow, and we're going to have a damn good time doing it.
I love it. Thank you for that, Ray. I think those are very real words. I think it's a great case study for success. I look forward to seeing Ray and No One's, his entire team do business in Ethiopia. We have gentlemen from the Ethiopian Investment Commission joining us after lunch. I think this would be a great time to chat about what business registration looks like for not only miners, but money transmitters. There's an entire industry that's now emerging. So I think their conversation, their insight into the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority, right, where at some point we're going to have shares floating and tickers buzzing. And so I think all of that is very encouraging for Africa. I'm so glad you've made the journey here. I'm so glad to see you building your team, building your presence. A personal story before we head out to lunch. When I started Bitcoin Burr, it was out of anger for the terrible education in place. And so the very first person to reach out was Ray. He asked me what I needed. I said nothing, right? I'm a proud Ethiopian, I don't need anything. And then the very next day he said, who's paying for your hosting fees, right? And it was a very minimal expense. I said, I'm paying for my hosting fees. And then he sent me a Bitcoin transaction, right? And he did that, and then Russell Okun, NFL, I think defensive lineman, he sent me a small budget. And then we had Jack Dorsey, I think he heard the buzz on Ethiopia, on education, educating Ethiopia. This is back in 2020, 2021, right? There's no incentive for him to be here yet. The market is still very young, right? There's no incentive for him to help me in 2021. But through the grace of God, Bitcoin Burr has grown, our budget has grown, our education community has grown. There's about 1,100 members on Telegram. I hope everyone here is a part of that community. And so Ray has been there from the start. I love the way he works. Even when you disagree with him, you can't help but agree with him because there's so much passion here. And so I encourage everyone here to reach out to him, his team, and see that we're putting this industry together the right way. If we wait for the officials to do everything, we have 3, 4 in the audience here. I promise you, they're overworked. They're at 5 different conferences. There's one on AI and data right next to us, right? Oracle. And so the private sector, the free market, us, entrepreneurs, capitalists, if you will, think the onus is on us. We should be responsible for this industry. I'm setting KPIs for myself, for my colleagues, for my clients. We'll hear about West Data, BitCluster, and so on. But we have a 6-month roadmap. We're going to have some targets. We're going to have some objectives. We're going to make Ethiopia the best place to do business, at least in this industry. Everything else we'll get to. We have construction guys here. We have education expert here. He's building a school. We'll learn about that. But in the next 6 months, Ethiopia should get more attention. Like I said, 4 articles, 5 articles a year from the major news networks is dismal, right? They need 12, they need 15 articles a year on Ethiopia, on this industry. I want to see Ray's name, I want to see everybody's name on articles. And so that's where we're headed, whether you like it or not. And I think it'll be a beautiful way forward. And so with that, let's go off to lunch, and then we'll reconvene in about an hour and a half or so. Thank you. So when we come back, to keep with Ray's energy, we're going to get into a question and answer. We're going to have Ray back on the stage. We're going to give you a chance as the audience, as participants in this summit, to ask questions. I know there are some burning questions over there, so we'll get to all of them. We'll get to some more of our sponsors. We have another coffee break in the afternoon. We might let out a little early. Please enjoy the facilities, enjoy this beautiful hotel. We've been coming here 10 years now. They've always treated us very well. They gave us this huge room. Normally they give me a little breakfast room. They said, no, this is a big event. Enjoy some space. And so we're very fortunate to be here. Thank you so much. And with that, we'll head off to lunch. Please.